so this is very interesting to compare her testimony from the two trials. For one, right off the bat, something I noticed, I think that Wendy got a little bit more emotional during this trial than she did during the first. Did anything else actually pop out to you?
So the only other thing that popped out is I did not hear any testimony in the Elder trial that the passenger and Muhammad Knight were actually talking before he went to shake the hand. And in Baptista, he said they talked for a little bit before Muhammad Knight went to shake his hand, cup went flying, Muhammad went to hit him. So that was the only other factual thing I noted was a little bit different in the testimony. I agree with you, she's definitely more emotional in this trial about her boyfriend.
And the mention of the solo cup too, how does that matter?
Well, I think that it matters when it comes to the other evidence that's going to be presented, because whether or not there's a solo cup located anywhere when they do the evidence examination on scene, either says, yes, she was telling the truth, or could she be telling the truth if there's no cup found? So that's where it makes a difference.
And from what I understand, this isn't like some kind of long relationship she had with this victim. I think from listening to her testimony, they'd only been dating a couple of months. So that's something also to assess in terms of her credibility. Would she really have felt so, you know, obliged to defend this man, someone that she'd only been dating a couple of months? Maybe, I don't know. Do we think she's truthful? We'll see what the jurors decide.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break here on the Law and Crime Network, and we'll be back in just a few minutes and take you back inside Florida courtroom, the Florida courtroom. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. Sorry, it looks like we had a little problem with the clip there, but I think you can get a pretty good sense of what this witness testified to in Demetrius Elder's trial. And again, this is previous testimony from the July trial when Armando Baptista's co-defendant was also facing manslaughter charges. Actually, Willcott, you kind of were, as you were listening to her testimony, you went one way, then you went the other way, saying it could be good for the defense, it could be good for the prosecution. What do you make of it?
Well, so that's exactly what I think. It's a fascinating case because the details that she gives, Muhammad is on top of him, having him in a bear hold. He sounds like the aggressor, which is good for the defense. But
Muhammad sounds like the, or no, Baptista sounds like the aggressor.
Well, in the beginning of the testimony, she says Muhammad has the passenger, who's Baptista, the defendant, in a bear hold. And so to me, a defense could argue self-defense. He had to stab him to get him off of him to protect himself. And then from the other side, from the prosecution side, here you have Muhammad trying to defend himself from the passenger, and he even tells his girlfriend, she's, you know, he's got an effing knife. And so I think the testimony could be argued either way.
Let's see, because we've been listening, doing a comparison side by side of how she testified in Elder's trial compared to what she said in this trial we're in now, the Armando Baptista trial. Let's listen to her testimony from that trial just a few days ago, and you decide if you think it changed. Okay, so that's very interesting, doing this side-by-side comparison. This is almost the exact same kind of point in the story that we played from both the Demetrius Elder trial and then from the Armando Baptista trial. You notice some, and this is her in the Baptista trial. Physically, I think that we can all agree that she looks a little bit different. She looks more upset, like she's been through stress. She was crying. The other trial, she looks a bit younger. And this is a 6 months, not even a 6-month difference in time.
Right. That's right. So I don't think we can discount the fact that she is testifying about someone who has been killed, regardless of the motive, regardless of the circumstances. He was stabbed 5 times. He died. And to me, she just looks exhausted and much older than she did 6 months ago. So I have to wonder, Rachel, if it's just the emotional exhaustion. I mean, think about how many times she's had to testify and relive the fact that her new boyfriend was stabbed in front of her.
But you notice, besides just how her physical appearance, that's her from July, she looks a little younger, a little less frazzled. She was more upset when she just testified a few days ago. But you notice some important factual differences between what she said the first time and what she said the second time.
And so I write it all down because I'm just that kind of person. But yes, the first time she said that, you know, Muhammad screamed, "He's got an effing knife." And so she yelled at the driver and said, "You need to get that knife away from him so I can get Muhammad off of the passenger." And then she testified that the passenger gave the knife to Elder, who was the driver. So Elder had the knife. This time she testified, who has the knife? I don't know.
So one time she's saying Baptista gives the knife to Elder, both
Right.
of those co-defendants, and in the most recent testimony, she does not testify to that fact. How is that? Why is that important? And can that be brought up? Could that be brought up in this trial?
So I don't think, you know, the judge's ruling was they cannot talk about Elder and the conviction and the prior trial and the conviction for a lesser included charge. So I think the only way they can do it is to use a transcript and say, do you remember previously testifying that the knife was given to the driver by the passenger? They can do that to destroy her credibility.
All right, so this is very interesting stuff, and I'm glad that we were at the first trial so we can compare the two, and especially because this particular witness is so important in this case. We have to take a quick break here on the Law and Crime Network, and I also want to tell you we're standing by to get that feed in from Florida live. So as soon as we have it, which I expect, we hope, is in the next couple of minutes, we'll bring it to you. First, we have to take a quick break. Stay with us. Okay, so wait a minute here. We're getting a very different story of what happened from the defense attorney that represents Armando Baptista in this case. She is claiming, and you heard her say it, that the victim, Muhammad Knight, came up, approached after they were stopped at the stop sign, approached with a beer bottle and pummeled him, I think she said twice, over the head. There's some problems potentially with that claim, though. Ashley.
Yes, I agree there are problems. And so here's the other piece of it. She said not only did he do it twice, the bottle then broke. Think about how hard you'd have to hit a beer bottle on somebody's head for it to break. And the problem is with this particular claim, what about the girlfriend's testimony of the red Solo cup? She never mentions a beer bottle. And then we have to see what's located.
Because that's very specific testimony.
Yes.
She remembers seeing a red Solo cup. So that means, A, she's either lying, if we believe the defense's story, or B, she could have forgotten he had a beer bottle. Either way, it's not adding up here.
Right. Or C, she didn't really see what happened. Remember, she's in the car, and
dark.
it happened quickly. It's dark. It's chaotic. She's probably like, what the heck is going on? Why is my boyfriend getting out of the car? And so who knows what she's doing or trying to do, if she's paying attention or not. So I think the whole point of this is there are too many discrepancies in at least what the opening statement is of defense and that witness's testimony. So how is that going to be reconciled by a jury?
So one interesting fact, though, is we did hear testimony from an officer who says that he found a beer bottle at the scene. Let's listen to that.
45. What are we looking at in this photo?
There's a baseball cap right there. There's broken pieces of a beer bottle.
Okay.
And a spout for the beer bottle. And there's a $20 bill over there.
And you say over there. Could you please point it out in the photo? What's orange there?
That's the orange, it's an arrow that we use. So I put on it to make sure it didn't fly away.
This is image 46. Is this showing the same as the previous image?
Okay, well, that side of the story, it maybe checks out. There we saw a broken beer bottle.
Absolutely. And what didn't we see, Rachel, in that picture of the immediate scene? I did not see a red cup.
Okay, speaking of a cup, that was a perfect segue. Another detective takes the stand and does talk about a red cup. Take a listen. Okay, so what do we make of all of this, Ashley? Okay, by the way, court's about to start in Florida, so you can see the defendant right there, Armando Baptista, taking his seat. I wanted to discuss this point, but I think trial's about to begin. What do you make? They found a red Solo cup and they found broken beer bottle. Who's telling the truth?
Well, I think the fact of the matter is the red Solo cup got knocked out of the hand, like the girlfriend said. That now could be the case, and I think the girlfriend didn't see or able to testify about a beer bottle, but there was one, so she's either lying or she didn't see everything.
So he was carrying both a Solo cup and a beer bottle when he approached the car.
I think maybe somebody in the car had the beer bottle, but I don't know. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. But why couldn't the passenger, Baptista, have had the beer bottle?
That's true. This is all very interesting, and all these questions that we're going over, who was carrying what, again go down to both the defense's case, and then also whether we believe Wendy, the girlfriend's testimony.
And I think the credibility of Wendy is going to be huge for the jury.
Wendy's girlfriend of Muhammad Knight, who you see right there.
That's right. And looking at the picture, I love your team, because look at the picture they've put up. He's a large man. You heard
Very
testimony,
large.
6'2", 200 pounds. And at least from the picture of Baptista, he is not a super large man.
Ashley, not to cut you off there, but we've got a live witness on the stand in this case in Florida. Let's take a listen. Not sure who he is. Okay, it looks like the judge had to send the jury out there. There was some controversy over some of his testimony. Ashley Willcott, did you follow what just happened there?
No, so what's interesting is, as a judge, when I hear objections, I either have to say overrule, sustained, and the reason on the record so they have grounds for appeal. It's unusual in my experience for a judge to say, I've heard, you know, I don't know if it's hearsay or speculation, something triggered that he doesn't like, so clearly he's going to have a discussion with the attorneys, but I don't know where it's going.
Yeah,
it's
and just so our viewers are aware, the judge, I believe, in this courtroom controls that muffle sound, so we try to cut out to save your ears as quick as possible. Okay, it looks like, is this outside the presence of the jurors? I believe so. Okay, let's listen. That means they ask questions outside the presence of the jury, and clearly the judge said, no, you cannot ask those questions when the jury's present.
Right, so it gives them the opportunity to ask the questions they want for the judge to then rule on the objection. So the objection had been hearsay, speculation, and the judge said, I'm going to say that you cannot have this witness testify. You and I both, Rachel, were listening. It was clearly speculation. What did he think? Did he make it known? What would he assume? That's speculative, and you can't answer those questions in front of a jury.
Yeah, it looks like, I'm just peering over the side of my screen here, it looks like they're still in sidebar now. But really, the point of this witness that we just had on, and he's still on the stand there, is to testify to the fact that Baptista and Knight had some kind of encounter at the party, right?
Absolutely.
We don't know really the nature of what that encounter is. He's trying to say it was over some kind of fight, right? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, that's, I think, what he's trying to say is somebody had punched somebody, and so now there was a confrontation about this. The other
Which
thing
goes to motive, and that's very interesting.
Exactly. And the other thing, Rachel, that's interesting, and I can't remember who said it, if it was an opening statement or if it was an elder's trial, but somebody made the comment that they thought that Muhammad had approached Baptista and was weird with him, like, who are you? What's your name? I don't know where that's going to come in, but it's kind of interesting.
Oh, where is that going? Okay, it looks like from what we're seeing in court that they're probably going to bring the jurors in. I think that's what they're doing now. We still have this same witness on the stand. You know, in terms of the actual alleged crime at issue here, I'm not quite sure how much he really adds to this, other than the fact that maybe he chips away at some of the credibility of the girlfriends when she took the stand, saying that the two of them didn't know each other and didn't have any interaction.
And I can't help but think, Rachel, if the prosecution's goal was not to have this witness testify to add to the self-defense claim that something happened, who knows what, leave it to the jury, but there was some kind of contact, so clearly this was self-defense by Baptista. I don't think they've done an effective job at that, but that might have been the goal.
Okay, we're back in cross-examination of this witness, friend of the alleged victim. Let's go in. Okay, some cross-examination of this witness. We have to take a quick break here on the Law and Crime Network. Thank you to my guest, Ashley Willcott. Don't miss, she'll be back hosting in about an hour. For now, we have to take a quick break.